heater is a little bit loud, but we're going to get this video done. So most people know they need to send dispute letters, but almost nobody knows how to structure them correctly. So in today's video, we are going to break down the anatomy of a strong dispute letter in an argument sense, right? So a lot of people know that they have to, again, communicate with a credit bureau or a debt collector, but we're going to go over today, what does that sound like when I'm making arguments or when I'm communicating with them? What does that sound like? How do I talk to them? Right? So welcome to day 16 of the 30-day credit comeback challenge. Yesterday we talked about what a dispute letter is and what makes a good one, but today we're just going to dive a little bit deeper. So why do the arguments matter? So think of your dispute letter like your first court statement. You're not pleading, you're asserting your rights. The wording inside the letter is what legally positions you to hold the other side accountable later. So that means you must identify the issue clearly, reference the right laws, and demand verification, not just the correction. So, and also we went over avoiding giving away unnecessary personal details, right? Okay, so the two main things that we need to really focus on is identifying the problem and holding the other party to a legal standard. All right, that was the anatomy of a strong dispute letter. Now we're going to get into the core arguments that make a letter strong. So the first one is the verification argument. So this one is the strongest position you can take. You're not asking them to fix something, you're asking them to prove it's accurate. So for example, how that would sound: under 15 USC 1681 IA, I am requesting the method of verification used to confirm this information. If the data cannot be verified, it must be deleted immediately. So this forces them to provide documentation and you know, and not excuses. All right, so the next one is inaccuracy. So if something is reporting inaccurately, state it clearly and firmly. So for example, the account listed as such and such, name the account, shows late payments that are inaccurate and inconsistent with my payment history. This violates the accuracy requirement under 15 USC 1681 EB. You're not explaining or defending, but rather you're identifying the problem and citing the law that supports your position, right? So, and also too, notice how I'm not telling them which which date it should be, how much was paid, why it's not, because that's their job to figure it out, right? That's their job to add all the numbers up and verify that it was actually a late payment or not. All right, incomplete or misleading. So even if something is technically true, it can still be incomplete or misleading, and that's also a violation. So, for example, the information being reported is incomplete and creates a misleading impression of my creditworthiness. So, under 15 USC 1681 S-2B, furnishers must ensure the information they provide is complete and not misleading, right? So, you've ever had a account show up on your report and the account itself is you know it to be accurate, but there's some things missing, like payment history or other things that are incomplete or missing. This argument gives you flexibility when the account has partial errors, old data, or inconsistent updates, right? Now, if it's an account that is in good standing and you want it to stay on there, then let them know so it can it can report accurately. But if it's an account that you're trying to dispute off, obviously use this as leverage to get the account deleted or removed. All right. So no proof and unverifiable. This is your backup when the collector or the furnisher can't produce proper documentation. So for example, how this would sound is, please provide the original documentation verifying this debt, including any signed agreements or account level details. If you cannot produce this evidence, the account must be removed as unverifiable. So this argument keeps you in control. You're not claiming the debt doesn't exist. You're just demanding proof. Okay. And then the last one we're going to go over is non-compliance. So if they fail to investigate, respond late, or continue reporting incorrect information, you're building your next argument for escalation. How would you communicate this to them? Failure to complete a reasonable reinvestigation within 30 days or to provide written verification constitute non-compliance with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. This creates a record that can later support a CFPB complaint or a lawsuit. So again, you're putting them on notice saying, "Hey, you're just willfully non-complying. I've communicated all the steps that I needed to. Um, I've let you know what was wrong. I've let you know that the information is unverifiable and inaccurate. You still continue to report it. Now I'm going to send you a letter letting you know that you're being willfully non-compliant. So when we do go to court, you can't say, hey, they didn't give me an opportunity to fix this, because this is me telling you, you might want to go ahead and fix it before I escalate it even further. Um, and that's really it, y'all. So just wrapping it up, the anatomy of your dispute letter is what literally gives it the power. You're not just sending paper, you're building a legal document that commands attention. Yeah, so you guys know what to do if you have any questions about dispute letters, which this is just, you guys shouldn't have any questions about dispute letters per se. Like I said yesterday, we kind of went over the what makes a good dispute letter and kind of like the structure of it, but today we really dug deep into what does it sound like to communicate with collectors or um, credit reporting agencies, because I think a lot of people, they understand that they have to send a dispute letter, but they don't know how to really communicate or articulate the violations that they've learned. So hopefully this gave you guys some insight and helped you guys on that. If you have any questions, you can drop it in the school community, and I will see you guys tomorrow for day 17.